Here we go. Kongdoo Monster on the blue side and Afreeca on the red side. We just received a delivery of gigantic hot packs that are in green. Very interesting.
So the bans on red side, will we see 3 jungle bans, or will we see Afreeca actually surrender one of Jarvan or Zac to the side of Kongdoo Monster? Kingzone followed in the footsteps of Jin-Air, banning away Galio, Jarvan, and Zac on the red side and blue side against Kongdoo Monster, and took them down very easily. Afreeca's rolling the dice. They're saying they don't care what jungler. Ray's able to get a Galio blue side ban as well. We're seeing final ban here. Only Sejuani ban of junglers so far. It is patch 8.2, but wouldn't have expected a higher priority on bans outside the 2. They will ban away the Zoe. They give Kongdoo Monster their choice. I wonder if we just see a first pick Jarvan for Raze.
I would not be surprised, to be honest, but there are still some other...
Lots of other choices.
Good picks, especially in the AD carry role. Nothing got banned out. They're hovering the Jarvan. Like I said before, we would not be surprised. I think it's a good idea just to get your jungler on something comfortable, but they switched to Gnar for Roach.
It was so suspicious, it was so obvious that Jarvan first pick will be something that Kongdoo Monster wants, that Afreeca decided it's too risky. With the Gangplank banned away, they're going to lock in the Gnar, but Keen is going to be very comfortable on the Camille. And this would also be very interesting. With all the AD carries available, no AD carry bans, the Varus being first choice over Kalista in particular will be a surprise, but Afreeca know what they want, and they want the Varus.
Yeah, that guy came from about 3.5 hours away to come watch Spirit, and he's like, please get me home in time so I can take the last train. We'll see if that actually happens. I predicted the 2-0 for Afreeca. We'll see what they bring out here. Hovering a bunch of weird picks here. I don't think we're going to see Ahri anytime soon.
Nope. It's going to be going for the Tahm Kench. You already see a Varus and a Keen on the Camille, so you have a pretty good idea that the pick comp may be enacted by Kongdoo Monster, so by Afreeca Freecs. So part of Kongdoo Monsters roll onto the Malzahar and the Tahm Kench to answer it. Could just be a farm lane in mid lane for Afreeca. Kuro has been loving the Corki. Has again been a very popular pick in Korean solo queue recently, and just wants to go ultra safe against Edge with that Corki. Does mean they could get back to a super high threat comps they were running against SK Telecom T1, where they had 3 Trinity Force users, already 2 locked in for the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, they're heading down that path. It's a very nice path for them. It worked out very well. Always a fan of the Corki. I play that a lot. But let's get into the second phase here of banning. The Kog'Maw going to be taken away. No AD carry picked just yet by Kongdoo Monster, and the Tahm Kench kind of suggests you want to play something without an escape, a bit more squishy.
Yeah, Kog'Maw Kalista would be a very straightforward ban phase on the red side, because you've already seen Tahm Kench locked in, and you're not as afraid of Xayah, because Xayah and Rakan can't be put together as a duo. Ezreal also a big pick for Sol, but they're happy for him to opt into Kalista. Very interesting. This is a heads-up thing against Sol in particular. He's 0-2 on Kalista on the season, has largely been defaulting to Ezreal. This might have to be a Tristana game for him as well, so I think he will consider that. But Kalista or Tristana looming as the likely AD carry choice on blue side. No support yet for Tucson, who's also been a star. His Alistair is available if he wants it. But maybe it's teamfight guarantees with the Taric. Bit of a risky pick when we saw Taric so well answered in our first series by the Rocks Tigers. But right now, he considers the Taric and he locks in the Alistair. So a man after my own heart. He wants to get in there and engaging on the Alistair.
It'll be good. You get that engage, as you were talking about, a bit of tankiness for your line of carries that they already have. The Ezreal gets locked in very fast once again, so we will see an Ezreal here on 8.2. Bit of comfort for Sol. Was 3-2 on this pick before on 8.1.
Has been tuned down in a couple of different ways, direct nerfs and also nerf to Kleptomancy. So have to see how that does, and Raze will be appreciative that so late in the draft he's able to pick up the Jarvan. So a lot of threat onto the mid lane with Jarvan and Malzahar. On this champion, Raze has been fantastic in terms of pathing, but look at this. Spirit looking for his 12th unique jungle pick of the season if he does lock in the Graves. That was what was preferred by contracts back at worlds in this matchup against Jarvan, but he's just playing with our hearts. Going to be the Jax. Looking for more of a flexible jungle pick. It will be 3 Trinity Forces, though. That's fun.
Go with what works, you know? You get another pick that can go tanky after that Trinity Force that we will almost inevitably see on the Jax. Spirit sitting at a comfortable 1-0 on the Jax. He's played so many different champions. Actually, 7 different champions that he's sitting at 1-0 exactly so far for LCK Spring. Pretty incredible. He's going to give this one another shot. Worked out for them. But the Tahm Kench was huge. It was so oppressive in game number 3. Rocks versus KSB. And Secret, maybe he was watching that game and he's like, hey, I could do this too. He's played his own couple of games. He's 1-2 on the Tahm Kench so far. No doubt he is very well practiced. We'll see if he can have as much of an effect as we saw out of Key in the last series.
Really strong draws from both sides. Look on blue side, a lot of lockdown, a lot of engage. Top side of the map, Gnar, Jarvan, and Malzahar. All pretty reliable in their roles. We'll see how the Camille versus Gnar matchup goes. This time out, we've seen it swing both ways. Bot lane is all about safety. Ezreal and Tahm Kench, very non-interactive bot lane. But clearly, this team is all about hard commit and then allowing the Ezreal to self-peel in the backline. I imagine Tahm Kench is going to be focused on his Malzahar more than his Ezreal with how the teamfight is expected to go. Whereas this is a similar draft from Afreeca that we saw against SK Telecom in game 1, where they go heavy on the turret damage and scale. A lot of poke under turrets, a strong 4-1 if they can get the Camille rolling. So I'd like to see Spirit play around Keen, allow him to be the aggressor in the matchup and not just passively farming like he did against Antara.
I'm excited to get into this one. Let's jump into game number 1 of Kongdoo versus the Afreeca Freecs. Match 32. We're just getting over the 1/3 done of LCK 2018 Spring here. Feels like it's gone by pretty fast. You and I have only done 5 or 6 casts before today.
It's our 6th match day today. Observers showing that a cull start for Kuro. It's not in the Galio matchup. This time it's in the Malzahar matchup. Just looking to sit back and farm. As Tusen's trying to be as annoying as possible, animation canceling his cowbells. You can do a lot of fun things. I think Wolf has impressed me the most with his animation cancels, getting some cool tunes out on the cowbell.
It's all about the rhythm, you know.
For Afreeca, it's all about scaling. I had the chance after the series, you were there as well, to talk with Froggen about what his views were on the current meta when it comes to mid lane champions. Already mentioned his love of Taliyah. The other champion he called out in particular was the Corki. Everyone knows that Corki's laning phase, you know, so many nerfs towards base damage, isn't oppressive anymore. But 3 items, once he hits Trinity Force, Zeal item, and the Infinity Edge, he's such a beast. He's so strong that Cole does allow him, he does kind of double down on a weak laning phase. You know, very much you're looking to invest for the future. But if he gets away with it, we know exactly how strong this Corki will be. 3 Trinity Forces will mean turret destruction in the blink of an eye. So the plan has not changed that much for Afreeca from past times, and it probably hasn't changed much for Raze, who's already looking frisky at level 2.
Yep, red to blue and mid lane going for this Corki, who is also level 2. See if he picked up his Valkyrie. Hopefully for him he did. Misses up the flag and drag flash. And so Kuro does get away. No summoners burned by Kuro.
And that's so much information for Spirit as well. We'll know his exact pathing. And also the fact that if he invades, there's no flash on the Jarvan. EQ used for a clear, come in with the counter strike, kill him with the leap strike. A lot of options available for Spirit, a big cost there. Looking at history, the only time Afreeca Freecs and Kongdoo Monster faced in the LCK was back in spring. That was the season where Kongdoo Monster was relegated, so no surprise that it's pretty one-sided to the side of Afreeca.
Yeah. Kongdoo Monster at the bottom of a lot of different analysts' lists coming into 2018. You're talking about this invade, though. Let's talk about this. No flash on Raze. He can be very aggressive in the jungle. He gets the smite down. Raze still on the attack here. Jax should win this one, even with the nice flag and drag. So
top laners weren't reacting, so both of them were kind of pushing to and fro, trying to judge where the top laners were going. Spirit's going to continue
He's
invading. Like I mentioned, this is exactly what you do when the enemy has failed with his flash.
He can flash on this, actually. Trying to get in here. He knows the flag and drag was used, and that's going to do it. First blood handed over, as well as double buff to Keen on Camille top.
And it was like watching a car crash, Valdez. What did I say from the moment that he screwed up the EQ into flash in the mid lane? That is a free target for an experienced jungler like Spirit to come and kill you at one of your buffs. His E was down, his flash was down, his pants were down, he was dead. There's nothing he could do. And now Raze, even on Ultra Comfort, is going to struggle with Jax this far ahead.
Yeah, we talked about comfort for Raze on the Jarvan, and one of the things he loves to do is early ganks. He messed up the gank, and it just has not looked good since then.
When you see the E go down, Spirit had already seen the Q onto the Gromp and could have confirmed it by looking at the Gromp and seeing that the armor piercing had come through. They turn onto him. Keen's there to pick up the kill. Even better for the side of Afreeca, rolling Keen on in a lane where if they have 4-1 pressure and double Trinity Force and Navarra sieging and doing turret damage, oh boy, there's going to be a lot to talk about. We didn't have this screen because we didn't have Gathering Storm in our previous series, but both 80 carries loading up for the 40-minute drain.
I don't know if we're really going to see that here, but...
We didn't have any 40-minute games, and we had 3 games in our first set.
3 games that all hung around 32, 33 minutes. One of them was 33, the other 2 were 32. Funny how that works, but definitely had to do with the 2 teams that were playing, and we'll see how much the patch has to affect the timing of the games, and if really all the games are going to be that short.
Guys are wondering why those numbers are significant. The shortest average game time we have in the LCK was from Kingzone Dragon X around 34 minutes, so shorter than the shortest average game time. Then we had Jin Air at 45 minutes, so very much we've had long games here. A little bit of information, we showed this before, but basically it's a double nerf towards Ezreal. His Q now only scales up to the same damage at 5th level, so at level 9, when you're actually able to do the same Mystic Shot damage, and then you basically at every point are getting less on your direct hits of Q, and of course you're not guaranteed those depending on where the lane is playing out, so if you're behind and not hitting your Qs, you're less likely to fill up your items with all these different pilfered items, and they sell for less gold as well. So in many different ways, Ezreal, and specifically Kleptomancy Ezreal, was tuned down.
Well, they were waiting for Edge to hit level 6 to set up the gank. Raze was sitting in the bush at level 4 behind Spirits level 5. And he hit 6, and Kuro very smartly just walks away. Even with this TP down, he's like, I'm not going to stay in the lane. I pushed a big wave. I have enough time to get back to farm. Just not going to take the risk here.
Spirit just hugging the brush, was able to sap away level 6 from all of this. We should talk about Keystones as Secret's going for the recently buffed Glacial Augment on melee champions, and now it's 45 to 55% slow, I believe, on auto attack. So already Tom Kench pretty good at closing down, now insanely good at the close down.
Yeah, if you can close the gap, you're going to be slowing them down. Higher chance to get the 3 stacks, and it can be pretty oppressive at times. The Tom Kench top. You see that every once in a while in solo queue.
I was a big fan of the phase rush Tom Kench, where you had 75% slow resist, which worked on your own self-slow on your W, so just rushing them into the turret to gimmick kill them at level 2 was hilarious.
Fun times.
Sadly, you know, people see the trick once and they don't fall for it a second time. And sometimes they just see it on a video, so doesn't work out, but a fun gimmick that people were playing around with early in the preseason. Lane's in a really good spot here for Afreeca. In the mid lane, the Farm Fest to the tune of 16 CS lead, and also the Cull close to cash-in for Kuro. Means that there's been a non-interactive laning phase. He can go Sheen into QSS, and well, he doesn't worry about it too much. We'll be able to still do relevant damage on the trades. All 3 lanes, at least slightly ahead in CS, and the jungle way ahead, as we already know, is good news for Afreeca.
It's so easy to farm as the Corki. Just with the base AD, you're doing so much damage early on. Even at level 1, you can get really easy auto attacks. You have some good wave pushing ability. You have a very nice escape as well built into your kit that you can take at level 2. Much like the Ezreal, except you're sitting here in the mid lane with good wave clear, and you just get the Cull because nowadays in the mid lane, it's not like you've got to be taking these fantastic trades, because you don't really see the very intricate mid lane trades all the time anymore. It's really just about who pushes faster and who has the better potential to set up ganks in the mid lane with the jungle.
At the end of the day, the Corki was picked to scale, which, like you say, a lot of mid lane picks can commonly be in this meta. They were happy to give up the early game, but then there was a mistake from the enemy jungler, and they profited from that as well. So when they have the triple Trinity Force spike coming at some point in this game, but also an easier bridge to get there due to the misplay from Kongdoo. I mean, Kongdoo had massive threat around level 6 on their mid laner and level 6 on their jungler that kind of has been looked over now that QSS is complete before a real gank is going to impact onto Kuro. Now mid lane is no longer an easy place for Raze to gank, so failing the level 2 in that manner, then also being disrespectful about how he cleared his camps, has the flow-on effect of also severely hurting the top side of the map, and that was really the advantage that Kongdoo drafted for, was a strong top side, and now the top side's going to go even at best.
Yeah. We're going to have Raze building into tank here. He gets the Cinder Hulk on the way, and he's pretty far behind as well. Overall, almost 5 camps behind Spirit here, and an entire level. So we'll see what he can do a little bit later on. He'll join that tank squad, and it'll be mostly Ezreal doing the bulk of the damage here for Kongdoo.
Problem is, the front line's not brittle. Alistair gets in there. He's obviously not going to be one that's going to take much damage from the Ezreal. The Jax and Keen will both have a bit of damage and a bit of tankiness for the two frontliners. So, and they also have deletion damage for a front line. We saw how easily they dispatched front lines with triple Trinity Force against Galio just a couple of days ago, and I expect pretty similar things here from Afreeca if they hit their item timings. With Raze only now getting his flashback, only now going to feel confident enough to actually play aggressive. The inevitability of this game is already creeping in a bit, Valdez.
It's funny to watch Kuro sit in mid lane and stand on top of the silence as he clears the wave. He's like, yeah, okay, you can do like a tiny little bit of damage to me. I really do not care. I'll just continue farming. Keen gets away from that one, has a huge wave to farm up here. Cloud Drake taken early. The next one will be Infernal. Should go over to Afreeca unless something crazy happens in this game.
Seemingly unlikely. Seems like the path of the game and the path to victory for Afreeca looks very straightforward. Raze going to be the one trying to increase the tempo with a innovative gank, which again, in the first couple of days of the season was working. He had great pathing on the Jarvan. Can't necessarily criticize the pathing at level 2. The attempt onto Corki, the thing I will criticize is he wasn't aware which skill the Corki had skilled. If he was told it was W, then just go for a 3-camp clear to level 3. You don't need to gank mid. If you see a Gatling gun and also the phosphorus bomb, then gank mid. Yeah. There is the opportunity to blow a flash. So, with that information not there, baited into using his flash, and then Spirit's kind of run away with the jungling plays, extending the lead to about this point, 7 camps or so.
He definitely tried to go for a extremely high-level, mechanically based gank. If you're going up against the Valkyrie, to go into the EQ, flag and drag, and flash into the knockup.
Even describing it sounds difficult.
And then Kuro still has his flash available.
Yep.
So you're going to have enough damage to come out after that, which is not always super likely from a level 2 Malzahar.
And I think the enough damage point can be generalized to Kongdoo Monster's comp. We saw SKT get heavily criticized for 4 tanks and a Sivir, but Sivir's late game damage, 6 items, is massive. We look at Kongdoo Monster, a lot of scaling taken away from the Malzahar, so his damage is going to be less hard hitting, and it's burst largely. It's not going to be a lot of sustained damage in a fight. And then Soul on the Ezreal as the pure threat only. Doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. Does he have to go Trinity Force to keep up, or does he need the Iceborne Gauntlet to kite? It's going to be a question that he's evaluating now, sitting on just the Sheen. Whereas no doubts whatsoever about the damage profile for Afreeca. Spirit is standing on a ward, so at least Roach is going to be safe. Maybe not. I saw an ult.
Okay, ult's coming on in, and we will have a nice knock-up. Good timing to knock up Spirit here. In a bit of trouble, but the TP comes in from Kuro, but from behind, Edge comes in, picks up a kill. Roach getting low. They're trying to take him down, but they can't quite do it. Tushin, by the way, is here as well. Edge getting low, and an auto attack takes him down. Nice little trade there, 1-for-1. Tushin's TP being the MVP in that fight.
A top lane fiesta, but you'll notice on the minimap, the Secret and Soul stayed in lane. No teleports there. When I see a turret race, 3 members here from Afreeca and the Jax passive fully stacked.
Whoop.
But there's a big lead here for Soul.
Yep, it's going to go over to them in the bot lane. Very, very close. With so many close encounters with the First Blood turret, I mean, I would have to expect that the Tahm Kench did take the demolish, but maybe we'll see a little bit more. It'll have to be, you know, very, very popular for that to come out, but you can see how Rich gets locked down here.
Yeah, the information was available to Kongdoo Monster. That's why Raze was topside, but Raze is level 8 and came in at half health. A million teleports come in because that's the meta we're currently in. Very, very difficult to keep track of. Ult only hit onto Tucson from the Gnar, so no effect that they were able to take down Edge. Credit to the members of Kongdoo Monster on the bot side. They do get the first turret after all of this, but Kramer hasn't been zoned from CS. He's almost equal with that of the Ezreal. And the Drake was already taken bot side, so they were able to make that play and didn't even give away a bonus objective. So trading 1-for-1 using that many teleports, not ideal stuff from Afreeca, but if that's how things go, when they're a bit fast and loose and make a bit of a mistake, they'll take it.
Bit of an ultimate here onto an Alistar without his ultimate. He gets taken down. Tushin not respecting the Nether Grasp.
His ultimate was still quite a long way away, so this was caught. No other way to put it. Thought they were just going to be wave clearing in mid lane, but nice punishment from Kongdoo Monster. Lane assignment is now Edge top side. Doesn't have teleport, but still a minute 30 till the Infernals. Just wants to push out the lane. It's going to be Iceborne Gauntlet from Soul. So I think early in the game is their best chance to win 5v5s before the damage truly does fall off a cliff. Let's start the Rift Herald. Jack's walking up, but don't think he's going to be in position for a steal.
Yeah, it would have to be really close. Oh, okay, Spirit casually walks in, steals it. Of course, they can deny this for a very long time, but to have that even happen, kind of demoralizing.
Yeah, no control ward there on the pit means there was no exclusive vision. A Waterman slipped in too easy for Spirit.
There you go.
Nice polite applause from the audience, but ended up being too easy. Kongdoo, after a kill, thought they were going to be high and dry, but they didn't have any vision on where Spirit was. And just allowed him to walk in and steal away the buff they fought so hard for. No reaction from Spirit. It's mid lane again.
Oh boy, Varus is locked down here. He still has his flash available, but an Alistar is in trouble. Taking a lot of damage, but unbelievable. He actually knocks him under the turret and makes it a 1-for-1 trade. Nicely done. Messing up the flash here is Keen. He's trying to get another kill onto Raze, who's getting low. Kuro trying to come from the side, lands that missile. Keen getting in close, but can't quite close.
A lot of high mechanic plays going wide here. We're trying to really ascertain what comes of it after everything. Afreeca still ahead in gold. They wanted to get a second pick and then put down the Rift Herald and potentially break the mid lane turret super early. But Corky goes back to base. It only ends up being a trade overall. And get the replay now. Very aggressive Abyssal Voyage with Edge. That's why he was able to get into the backlines as Malzahar. Didn't even need the flash to make that one happen at the start. Headbutt there. Very nice from Tucson. He knew his life was down, but he's going to take one with him.
He almost got it there at the end. He burned his flash to make sure that he could secure the kill.
Not been enough control from either team. Means the mid lane has been a fiesta this game, which is fun to watch. There is going to be the Rift Herald.
It's good to see Secret taking a page out of Key's book, inviting everybody to his love house. trying to get them all in to pick up some kills. Infernal Drake is on the map, so see who wants to make the first move towards that. Kongdoo Monster pushing up after the Rift Herald, looking to try to take that objective.
If they rush it, the teleport will not be up on Kuro. He's about 10 to 15 seconds away. In the jungles here, a lot of jungle proximity because Spirit was doing a lot of counter jungling on the Jarvan, you'll remember, means that he's been able to do a lot of things. So he's been high jungle proximity and also counter jungling, which is impressive to see. Kongdoo Monster's going to smite away the Inferno, so given up by Afreeca Freecs. Still had some of their key abilities on cooldown and couldn't get control in the area. So nice little play there from Kongdoo. I'm going to get the maximum value from the scaling, though, given that only 2 members on their team are actually building for true damage. Yes, Roach could go a pretty damage-heavy build, but usually we see Frozen Mallet, and then situationally something like a Randuin's on the Gnar.
It's interesting to see Afreeca essentially just give up the Infernal when you have to think they were feeling pretty confident so far in this game, but they give it up, and they had Kuro pushing top basically to no avail. He got a blue buff, but that's about it. So I suppose they secured both blue buffs, which is something, but...
I mean, if you think about it, if the game goes long enough for Infernal to be truly valuable, you know, when 5-6 items are there, it doesn't really matter how many Infernals Kongdoo Monster have, they're still going to run out of damage. But if it's a short game, that's one of the few ways Afreeca Freecs can lose, because their item timings, their item spikes, when they have triple Trinity Force, are insane. This doesn't matter what intangibles there are, short of, say, 5 Drakes and an Elder. There's no way for Kongdoo to match the damage profile that Afreeca have drafted for. So I think opting out of one of the few ways you can lose and doubling down on almost a guaranteed victory in terms of late game damage and is probably the right way to go. So I don't mind it from Afreeca, even if you look at it simply and you're like, well, 4 people can use the Infernal, therefore they really want it. Not picking it up isn't going to be a huge cost once we hit that 50-minute mark.
It's a very deep point. I just wonder if the team is thinking about that on the fly. That would be very impressive. You know, it's easy to sit back and think of that now, like while we're just watching the game. There's not that much action.
It just can't be a coincidence that 2 series in a row they're drafting triple Trinity Force, high damage, scaling, but also the potential to circumvent early game snowball. This seems to be the new Afreeca mantra, which is kind of respectful snowballing. Maybe this is disrespect.
They're coming from behind. Kramer just gets eaten up.
Damn.
Just out of position there, the Abyssal Voyage. How many times are they going to get away with that? They get the heal out of him as well. He was never going to survive at that point.
It feels like they need advanced vision to spot where Edge is, who keeps being popped into the back line, punishing the 1-3-1 that Afreeca have drafted for. Bulldozing down the mid, some important ultimates down. Afreeca still being very respectful.
Ooh, Roach. Always threatening in the front, but does jump ahead back. They get another objective. Kongdoo adding to that turret score. They now have 2, trying to up their average turrets per game.
And our queries about damage are mid to late game damage points. At 20 minutes into the game, base damage is still very relevant. There's not 3 items on any of the carries of Afreeca. There's no lifesteal on the carries, so base damage is still very reliable and very high this early into the game. We're going to see the replay. Control ward in the mid lane means there's no ability for a lane ward to spot Malzahar being launched into battle. We've never seen this before. These very short-range Abyssal Voyage gangs, but they're working a treat, so maybe more teams will consider it if Malzahar remains in the meta. Creative stuff. I love seeing it from Kongdoo. But how close are we to they running out of damage to deal with the Afreeca Freecs? Is the real thing that I'm trained on. Triple Trinity Force finally complete. Pretty fearsome stuff from Camille, Jackson, Corki.
In a row as well.
It's one of the most expensive items in the game, and it gets filled by expense of the items, so that's why we do see it on the spectator client here, all in a row. Rageblade's right up there in cost as well. Very expensive cores for all of Afreeca. Usually the punishment for spending so much gold on early game damage is, you know, a big power trough before then, but Afreeca are ahead in gold, and they've spent their gold on just the royalty, the top tier of items. So that means they're still in a very comfortable position despite being killed down.
They also have double QSS, so the next time that a gank like that comes in, Kramer can QSS flash, and they can try to turn it around. It does eventually run out of effectiveness. See if any other members pick up a QSS, maybe Camille as a 4th item or something like that. I'm sure she's going to be in the side lane most of the time. But yeah, the game has kind of slowed down. Afreeca took some of the objectives earlier on, but as you were saying, I think they're just playing for the late game at this point. Whereas Kongdoo, they're trying to find any edge that they potentially can. The last remaining tier 1 turret is in the top lane, but no big push towards that just yet.
Safe 1-3-1 until you're forced to fight for objectives is how Afreeca is approaching the game. Want to get 3 items onto the Corki as safely as possible, and the no-risk play is to divide up the map, push out the lanes, and then if your control wards are sitting, which they are, they look defensive, but Corki is going to push 1 wave and then back and try to come towards his team, and then now Corki's at 2 items. Things are starting to roll. There is the QSS, and I think heavy QSS in this game as a counterpoint to say the people asking about Ruler picking up a QSS in our previous series. I think heavy QSS makes a lot of sense here in a game like this because when they do fight, it's damage threats diving into the backline. Malzahar holding you in position while Ezreal free hits is one of the few ways you can actually be taken down. So QSS trivializing Malzahar's impact. It's only Iceborne Gauntlet, Ezreal behind that is really what Afreeca Freecs want to do to guarantee that when they're happy with their items, when they're actually opting into fights, they're locked and loaded and ready to go.
Yeah, Camille taking it very early after the Tiamat, but you got to do what you got to do, I suppose. And, well, the first series was very fun, but we've kind of pushed back into farming. I think it just depends on the compositions and the teams that have decided that this is their strategy to go for. Still no push towards the top side here. It's only been Edge making a move, and especially with Cloud Drake as the third Drake, not really a high-ranking objective at this point. No team seemingly wants to go for that at this point.
Lots of control wards in the inventory. There was the point raised by the SpoTV staff about the amount of control wards. Afreeca placed the most of any teams, and we noted that it was a team effort. Only Kramer is letting down the team, but I'd imagine his control ward might have already been placed. But for now, defending Corki on his split push, defending the Camille on her split push. That's the big story for Afreeca. Still have triple teleport ready to go if they need to. Collapse, but Kongdoo Monster are the ones who really want to be setting the pace. We mentioned many times now that as late game comes, their fears about their team comp and their damage in team fights are raised. So they need to be the ones making things happen. For now, they seem to just be opting into 50-50, which to me only really suits the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, you don't really want to just sit back here when you're in this situation. You got to pressure somewhere on the map, and spamming at weaves isn't necessarily going to be the option here. Not even trying to put down vision in the red side. As I say that, they do move in as 3. Got Malzahar up top with his TP. Edge up there, Roach down in the bottom lane.
The surprise factor of the Abyssal Voyage gets more and more difficult. A lot of wards, control, and regular. Then a litter the red side jungle, so recreating what was working for them in the mid lane. Going to be heavily denied now. Seeker just being best friends forever with Soul after being with Edge for the majority of the mid game.
He's going in here. Here's the Abyssal Voyage. They get the Valkyrie. Once again, this is a Corki, but they push him out with a high number of damage, and now they're looking for that top tier 1. Looking for the snipe. Oh, that was close. I think that would have got him.
Yeah, I think he would have died there. So that was important that he sidestepped from it. And we mentioned Kongdoo Monster raising the pace of the game. They finally do with a nice little team-wide move. While it looks comical when Corki could sidestep with just his Valkyrie, forcing him out was enough for them to pick up an objective that allows them to safer and safer inch vision into the red side jungle, clear it out, and then start to attempt the Baron. They can attempt Baron pretty safely. They have a slow Baron, by the Rune King finished on Soul, but otherwise Baron threat is not massive. Leandri's Malzahar will be decent, but they have a good turn because the Voidlings will start to tank it. They have Jarvan and Malzahar to flash and re-engage, and that's their best way to actually find a significant or a meaningful lead in this game because Afreeca are squishy. They may have multiple QSSs, but they will fall like paper if they run in one at a time in a line. So that's what Kongdoo Monster want to do. Create a bit of panic, create a bit of a situation that forces Afreeca to react, because we've seen how Afreeca wants to play. They want to play in the side lane as much as possible until they hit their items.
Speaking of the items, we do have a bunch of them coming in. Blade of the Rune King finished up for the Varus. The Ravenous Hydra up on the top there for Camille. Rapid Fire Cannon for Corki, so they're beginning to build it up. Also, BF Sword picked up on Corki just a second ago. But also the tanky items, you see the Gnar moving towards the Randuins you were talking about.
Very single target build coming through from Kramer. No sign of a Hurricane, for example. And Wit's End, not as necessary in this game. Understands he's going to spend a lot of the game just being dove upon, so the lifesteal and the self-peel of the slow and also the QSS. More valuable to Kramer than a max damage build. Here is the pushing forward of Vision. So Kongdoo Monster trying to stick their position in the game 28 minutes in. Righteous Glory and the Unsealed Spellbook for Tucson. Our first Unsealed Spellbook Alistair in a while.
Okay, the flash, they just walk straight into it, but Spirit makes a 4-man stun. Is it gonna matter? No, he gets devoured at the end. But who's gonna go down on the opposite side? Tucson, he wants blood here. He's gonna push in Raze, who in turn does get a nice little Cataclysm, but it's too much damage, once again, coming out of Afreeca. But here comes Roach, he's looking for the ultimate. Can't quite get there. Very, very close towards the end of that one. Oh, not quite close on that one, though.
Almost a perfect fight for Kongdoo Monster. They smelt the blood. They got so many members low, but the QSS has stopped any kills from sticking. Oh. Speaking of kills.
Look at Keen going 1v3, looking for a kill. He's got double TP on the back. Kramer QSSing out of it. They're looking for the big turnaround with this. Kuro with the damage coming out of Corki. Now looking for Edge. It's a double kill. And an ace against Kongdoo for Afreeca.
That's why we saw them so far forward. It looked like a weird rush of blood to the head of Keen, but it was because they had double teleport out of nowhere coming in. With all the Baron damage, they turn onto it. First Baron in the game, probably going to go to the Afreeca Freecs.
It should, unless Raze can get there, but it doesn't look like he's barreling down on the Baron. Just a lack of respect for the TPs for the Tucson Unsealed Spellbook once again. And Kongdoo Monster get caught out. They'll pick up the consolation, Cloud Drake.
The thing about multiple Trinity Force teams is that they want to keep fighting after the initial burst is done, but what do we say about Kongdoo? They have one round of damage, then they really fall away. So while it looks good for Kongdoo at the start when they're able to get a single pick onto the Jax, you think, okay, game's decided, gone 1-for-1. They're chasing away so many members of Afreeca. They're all so low. The fight's over. No. Remember, all the teleports are up. They're not able to register any kill with the ultimate on the back end, and then a really nice flank from Tucson and friends.
Yeah.
That's the cleanup. Now the Infinity Edge is there. Now the Baron buff is there. And now Afreeca no longer need to just focus on 1-3-1 only. They can 4-1, and if Tucson's feeling frisky, they can dive.
Important point that Tucson survived with just a sliver of health, maybe only 100 towards the end of that one. He was able to go back and TP back into the fight. By the way, he has switched to Ghost. So with the Baron buff, he's looking for the big time engage. Once the Flash and Ghost come off cooldown, no doubt Kongdoo will have to respect that.
Yeah, what you do here, if you're Afreeca, is you take the easy objectives in the side lane, because any two people deletes a turret. Trinity Force or Avaris will be involved in any of those side lane pushes. We're going to see the replay. It looks insane from Keen, but he's not trying to get kills. He's trying to buy time. Tucson comes in. Doesn't even matter if the headbutt pulverize hits. And Kuro, man mode, straight onto Edge. Just picture in picture, we're seeing more kills.
Yeah, we got a Devour here, but it just looks like a total rout on the side. A couple of members are going to go down. The two tanks, Raze and Secret, on the backside. We got a 1v1 in the top lane. Just getting caught out. We didn't see how this fight started, but with Tucson very low, you can kind of imagine what might have happened.
I mean, Afreeca just looking to brawl. They'll play side lanes until they have two pushing lanes, and then Ghost Flash Alistair will look for a turret dive. If he's taking turret aggro, everyone else is dying because they have only threats on the remaining 4 members of the Afreeca Freecs, so they know exactly how they want to play this out. With Wit's End now on Kramer, it means that Kuro's doing even more magic damage crits. Kuro is literally a monster being set up by Kramer with that flat resist shred. All the turrets rolling down in one push, and the gold lead is going to start hitting 10,000 in no time.
Yeah, we're getting close. Tucson about to get the cooldown up on his Ghost. At the same time, does have his Flash available. They take down all the outer turrets, only the inhibitor turrets and the Nexus ones do remain. Nice little Baron power play. Just about 6,000 gold, if not more. We still got about 40 seconds left on it.
Anytime you have triple Trinity Force, you're going to have a sick Baron power play. And this was a force, actually, from Kongdoo Monster. They think they're going to initiate something, but interrupted on the flag and drag. EQ has not been happy for Raze on his Ultra Comfort. And from there, if any one member of Afreeca is free hitting, they're going to be a damage carry that decides a fight. Soul is zoned away because, just like Faker found out, there is no tanky enough front line to deal with how much sheer damage is on the side of Afreeca. And now they're going to smother the side of Kongdoo Monster by pushing in all their lanes. And one mistake, one kill, and they're just going to turret down everyone as the old Corki bug is back.
Welcome back, old Corki. Nice to see you. But yeah, not the smartest Abyssal Voyage. Looked good earlier on in the game, but you're Abyssal Voyaging right on top of an Alistar in hopes that you can burst down the Varus, which at this point seems very unlikely.
27,000 damage
Raze
taken.
Have that much? Oh, damage taken. Okay. That confused me. I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
We know about the damage taken. He has been in the front line, and his engage has not been as on point this time around. Only 8,000 damage onto the Varus, and lowest of all damage, as always, is the Ezreal, but unfortunately his damage dealt numbers are not going to be significant either.
Yeah, it would be cool to get a follow-up with the damage done graph. I was trying to summon it there. It didn't really work out.
Not a big fan of the Lord Dominic's regard, actually, that has been completed by Soul. You look at the enemy team, and they're not actually the tankiest when it comes to health, and it's 2,000 to really get the massive value in terms of health differential. We're not going to see that from really anyone on the side of Afreeca. Armor penetration this game also, it's fine. Is it great? I don't think so. They're all going to be pretty squishy threats. It's only magic resist for the Jax, his mid lane.
You catch anyone, he should go down. The big one comes out, but a nice block by the enemy team. Even going for the tanky Tahm Kench, they almost kill him in the end.
No one has tanked this much damage, waiting for the minion waves to push in. They are stalled down, and Tucson has to ult.
And Soul awkwardly flashes back or forward after Arcane shifting.
Weird.
Hoping to get a kill onto Tucson, maybe surprise him before he could pop his ult, but did not work out.
Tucson can always switch over his Ghost for a teleport and rejoin pretty quickly if they need to. But right now, the tempo drop has happened for Afreeca. A lot of people backing, so gonna stick with Ghost Flash and just exit the base. Every item purchase for this team feels better because they are in such a great scaling damage position. Map still littered with wards, largely around the top side where Keen was split pushing, which allowed him to grow a 72 CS lead over Roach, working on his Guardian Angel. Guardian Angel could also be the Mercurial Scimitar, likely next purchases for Keen.
Well, we got all the vision denied around the Elder Drake about to spawn. Ghost Flash on our Alistar.
Best
Keen even split pushing.
Definitely his best Ming impression. Haven't seen a lot of Ghost Flash Alistar with Righteous Glory, but that Righteous Glory is back up. Just a second, it's up now. He is definitely Turbo Alistar. Valdez?
It gets pretty funny. Think about, you know, Predator, Righteous Glory, Skarner. It gets to that level, but not quite the Rammus level. We're not there yet.
No land speed record, sadly.
Yeah, we don't have the technology for that just yet. Maybe in the next year. But let's see if they try to go for a steal. It would be funny if Afreeca tried to go for the 50-50 here, especially with the amount of engage they have on this Alistar.
Two members can DPS it down pretty fast. For now, Kuro's zoned away, about half health.
Yeah, trying to bait them in. You can see Kuro and Spirit both taking a healthy amount of damage.
Keen has teleport wards he could choose to enter this fight on, but for now, just sticking in lane when to try to split push in the face of Gnar.
Kuro using his package to come over to this Elder Drake, trying to push him out and force a response to Keen, who is pushing. And Afreeca, they're not happy to take an uncertain objective. They're going to back off for now, but Kongdoo Monsters say, hey, they backed off. Let's come in and get some land to our own. Let's see what they decide to do here. Probably just clearing out some of the wards.
A lot of the engage for Afreeca is around Tucson actually getting backline access. Kramer's not going to be in ult range very much. Keen is split pushing, and Jax just looking for a Flash E is very unlikely. So for now, the reliable engage needs the Alistar. That's why they keep poking in and out, aggroing the Elder Dragon, then backing away, because Keen isn't getting any headway in the top side. They have no real ability to engage. But they're happy to start it. They have a lot of lifesteal on the team, so for now at least, Afreeca looking for a way to get things going, to get to actually close out the game. Elder and Baron are both up, both objectives that Kongdoo have to contest. But for now, no flanking maneuver by Tucson yet. We haven't seen his best Ignar impression getting into the backline.
Yeah. Extremely careful play out of Kongdoo too. Very balanced, not trying to rush in there, do anything crazy. They're waiting for Afreeca to make the first move. They're baiting them into an awkward engage, a imperfect engage, if you will.
Baron setup is much cleaner. This is 5 damage dealers. Watch this.
Well, see you later, Baron, and a nice knockback once again from Tushin on the Alistar. Not the first time we've seen that out of many different Alistars in the league. Clean, PogChamp. Nice little Cataclysm here, but another good disengage. Tushin getting low. They want to get at least 1 pick on the back. They don't want to let them all get out alive. Tushin dodges the Mystic shot, but maybe not the next one. Should be just 1 kill here. Tushin gives up his life for the Baron.
His ult is down. The decision to go onto Baron was smart from Afreeca because they actually had lane pressure in the top lane. Keen had been pushing it into the enemy inhibitor for the longest time, whereas in the bot lane when they were trying to do Elder, they didn't have a pushing lane, so they weren't actually able to threaten any sort of a turn or look for an objective or to break the base. Around Baron, that was easier. They train it down. It goes down. But Kongdoo Monster getting a kill on the back end. And Tushin not being able to switch over to a teleport means it's out of the action for a good 30+ seconds.
Yeah, you see Kongdoo immediately group up as 5 and go straight for that Elder. Might just have to give this one up. It will be a hard engage without the Alistar. Keen hanging nearby, but it leashes, which is going to give him a little bit extra time here. But still, once again, it's really just going to be up to Kuro and Keen threatening from the right side. And Kongdoo actually come off of the Elder Drake. Not confident just yet, taking it very slow. Soul getting a little bit lower, but it leashes once again. And they're not confident to stick on this one.
And it's bought enough time for Tushin to get back as well. And now there's no safety in starting the objective if you're Kongdoo Monster.
It's unfortunate, but again, they're down 11,000 gold. You can understand how they're not entirely confident to go for the objective. Will they go for the steal? It's not going to matter. As Tushin engaged, they actually do get the steal, but he might die for it. Raze, nicely done, but he loses his life, almost trades it back. Would have been a nice 1-for-1 trade with the steal. Can't quite get the kill, though, onto Spirit, and they're going down the mid lane.
Yeah, nice pick up of the steal. Denies us from being Baron buff and a Elder Dragon buff, but it's not going to stop Afreeca pushing in. Remember, they've still got those Trinity forces. They push in. The base explodes.
The turret does at least. They will continue pushing in. Spirit actually going up to the top lane, doing a bit of split pushing himself. Edge having to go back and get some health means that the inhibitor is going to go down. Nice silence. Does a bit of burst damage to that front line. And now Afreeca is on the run. Edge still thinking about it. He's got his ghost popped with his ultimate available, but not going to go for it.
He doesn't have passive ups, not able to just ult onto the Varus and claim anything there, so we back away. Finishing has been tricky so far for the side of Afreeca Freecs. They haven't been able to get the maximum value out of the Alistar. And from there, the Hextech Ultimatum really hasn't been used in any of these fights. We see the replay. Raze EQs in through the CC because EQ takes priority over the knock-up and able to steal it away. Nice steal away from Raze, but we wonder if it's too late. Spirit almost goes down, but Flash and Counter-Strike stops him from dying. Also sidesteps the True Shot Barrage. Kongdoo fans take a deep breath. They're no closer to winning the game, but they're no closer to losing it instantly either. So despite being 10,000 gold behind against such a high damage team, only now are multiple Guardian Angels finished on the side of Afreeca. See if they look for a big engage with the Hextech Ultimatum, because so far it hasn't really been involved.
They've certainly bought themselves some time here. Only the mid turret has gone down with the mid inhibitor, and we are at 42 minutes, so given enough time, Kongdoo themselves will be able to go up to max items and catch up. Again, we talk about compositions. Afreeca's going to look a lot better in terms of the damage, but the pick potential out of Kongdoo and the engage potential, we'll see if they can make something happen. They're not going to try to force any fights with the Elder. They're still too far behind. They want a bit more farm. They have a lot of time before the Baron and the Elder Drake are going to respawn, so they'll do just that.
And as the game has gone on, Soul has been able to piece together a lot of damage, just from poking, just from Qs. Has been able to get those numbers higher and higher. Actually finishing off kills has been a struggle for Kongdoo, 4 kills behind Afreeca Freecs, but we're waiting for the explosive team fight. But for now, Afreeca is being very respectful over starting. They're not willing to look for a sheer 5v5, respecting the fact there is a lot of lockdown on Kongdoo that extends to silences and knockups rather than the Malzahar ultimate that they've already itemized against. But now we're at 6 items on multiple members of Afreeca Freecs. We're also at the full court press. Corki going to move top lane and start to push in the top lane wave as Kramer and Spirit bring in bot lane. This should be the point where there's just too many threats on the side of Afreeca for them to fully respect. We're waiting for Afreeca to actually press the buttons and get aggressive. His edge is almost dead.
Speaking about pressing buttons, just a couple of them will do almost all your health and damage when Corki is on 6 items. Gathering Storm, we revisit Soul and Kramer, the two that did pick it up. We're over 40 minutes now, so it's beginning to get very nice for these two players.
It gets really out of order around the 40-minute mark when you're getting way more than a BF sword's worth of AD for free, just because of the time scaling. Still a lot of respect. They're trying to have all 3 waves crash at the same time, but Corki has to wait for the next minion wave to come in. They're pinging onto a blue. They're not advancing their position much at all, and there's no objectives to fall back to. With Baron still a minute away, the game continues to stall.
The wave clear not the greatest here for Kongdoo Monster. They do have the True Shot Barrage and a good amount from Edge, but just thinking about an intense, 60-minute game where you've lost all 3 inhibitors, which may happen, especially after Afreeca picks up Baron. They have an opportunity. It's not going to be the easiest for Kongdoo to pull off.
Yeah, you're fair. There's no Sivir here for the Ultra delay. Even Varus is a good backup to Sivir when it comes to sheer wave clear in the late game, but neither available means their wave clear against Baron buff very limited. But then you could argue that Afreeca having so many threats means that their turret diving ability in the face of decent lockdown, some tanking members on Kongdoo, is also going to draw out the game. They need Alistair to pull off the dive, almost level 16 for maximum value out of his ultimate. They've been respectful when it comes to, say, Keen and Spirit, trying to double team and force a turret dive in the face of Kongdoo. When you're being that safe, this is the result. Games that do extend, and Kongdoo getting items that should never have been free to them, just adding up gold with just how many minion waves have crashed onto their inhibitors.
They're looking for a pick, trying to go for Jax. Falls a bit short as Spirit gets out of there. Oh, it looks like that was a steal. Yeah, they're going to get the Scuttle Crab here, so they have a bit of vision now around the Baron.
And good news, that'll probably delay the game.
It's good news for Kongdoo. It's good news for someone, right, Papa?
It's always somebody who's looking forward to what happens if we get 60-plus minutes here at the Gangnam Stadium.
You know, it hasn't happened, right? Over 60 minutes?
They're trying to backdoor the Baron here, not in vision of the Scuttle Crab. They're just duoing it. Tucson can take it for a long time, but they're giving up on that plan.
Yeah. The second that Kongdoo moves in onto the wards as 4 members, they're like, nope, we're not going to do that.
Now, this is smart. Kuro and Keen are here. If Keen can just harass away Roach.
Roach is pretty far away from that Mega Gnar. You can see he's trying to tip him down. He does get the Mega Gnar, and we have a couple members coming up. That's a double knock into the wall, and he does have GA. The flash coming in. They're going to be able to pick off the Camille here. Keep in mind, Baron is going down as we speak. So even if they get this 1 kill, that might be the Baron. We have the True Shot Barrage coming in. It's way too early. It should be the Baron secure here for Afreeca for just 1 kill.
Yeah, they didn't want to turn straight onto the inhibitor turret because they were worried about the collapse from the Abyssal Voyage. Means they don't get the turret. They trade 1 for 1, but they get the Baron, like you say, Valdez. So pretty difficult to evaluate. On the one hand, you'd say, well, definitely worth it, right? A free Baron, but I think they could have engineered a scenario where Baron was free without giving away a kill, and it means they won't have Keen able to actually split push with Baron buff. We see the replay. They're not dumping damage into the turret. They're putting damage into Roach, afraid of the collapse, as the collapse does end up coming in. QSS used early means it's not there for Edge. Guardian Angel down. And the side lane threat with no Baron buff is going to be lower from Keen. So the actual ability to profit from the Baron buff gets even more tricky after all of this. And that's why you see Kuro, the one with his flash down, does have package, does have teleport, but can't be as aggressive as perhaps we could see from Keen in the side lane.
So I'm just trying to keep tabs on the Gathering Storm. We're nearing 50 minutes, and that means 120 AP, but also, of course, for the 80 carries, 72 AD for both of them. So a hefty amount of AD, and this might even go to 60 minutes. And let's not cut it short.
The 90-minute game was denied some amazing Gathering Storm numbers. Gets to insane values around 90 minutes.
I would love to have the formula. Somebody's got to have it somewhere.
Yeah, I saw some numbers. I forget them now, but they were big, Valdez, let me tell you. How much damage is enough to close this game? How much damage is enough to turret dive? Seems to be the question raised. This is a good timing. Having Varus push in on topside as both Corki and Keen. As the Corki Camille push in with double Trinity Force on the bot side. For now, though, harassing back, clearing waves, not allowing Afreeca Freecs to break the base in a second spot.
Here we go, Corki, Kuro, and Keen. Trying to push that one in. Okay, here we go. The Abyssal Voyage coming in, and Keen goes forward, trying to get a kill. In the meantime, Itch gets low, but he does get out of there with his Zhonya's. Meanwhile, though, one inhibitor goes down, the mid inhibitor gets low. So they get one kill, which should mean that Afreeca has to back off from here. But another inhibitor does go down at least.
Does mean also that Kongdoo could contest for the Elder Dragon. Keen will be able to teleport after it spawns a couple of seconds after. So there is the chance for him to turn around, and there is good advanced vision from the side of Afreeca Freecs. So Kongdoo actually rushing down the objective is looking pretty impossible. Ezreal has been item capped for a long time, sitting on 6 items. Not a high damage build, but with Ezreal it's very difficult. We saw Bang in that 90-minute game go crazy and go auto-attack Ezreal with the Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, I believe it was, at the end of that game. And we could still get to that position in this game as well.
Something you'll never see in solo queue is the mid laner handing over extra creeps to the support who's level 16 and needs the gold. It's very smart. Just a small thing, but over time can help your support get a little bit far ahead or even catch up to Secret, who is a level ahead.
Keen has some teleport wards. Kongdoo monsters need to be so careful here.
Two-shot barrage on the top lane that has the super minions coming in, but there's that engage. They try to come in. Is Tushin trying to get onto Raze? He will go down on the back side. Will this just do it? In comes the Jax. We do have the Cow getting a little bit low. Actually, it was the Camille, but finally the engage comes in towards the end in the last brush. And Afreeca, they find the key to end the game. Good engage. And they end it.
Afreeca Freecs were frustrated for so long because Kongdoo were not coming out of their base to actually take a 5v5 in terrain where they could fight them, in terrain where they could use an aggressive Hextech ultimatum. It meant the game dragged for a long time because they did not want to, under any circumstances, go for a turret dive. 5 for 1 was the trade. This will be the end of the game, and Afreeca Freecs extend their win streak to 7.
Took them a long time, but they knew exactly what they were doing. Patient play leads to their eventual victory here at 51 minutes. Lots of flexing on the wrists after that one. Very deserved one. We'll see if they can extend this to 2-0. I think after a draft like that and a game like that, Kongdoo will have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, are we going to draft a composition to go directly up against this, or will we just target it directly through bans and through taking away some of their picks?
It was the correct game plan from Afreeca, even if it dragged out, because they knew against the team they were facing, they would always outscale instead of terms of teamfight damage, so why not just minimize risks? If there were more threats on the side of Kongdoo, though, would they have still gone for this strategy anyway and given free items to threats who could actually turn a 5v5 in the late game? We'll never know the answer to that. If you're an Afreeca fan, you'll say no, that it was just for the situation. For this situation, it gets them over the line. It took a long time, damn it did. But in the end, it is an Afreeca Freecs 1-0 up late.
Tired faces on the players of Kongdoo, but this is the final fight that we did have. Tushin on the left side, you can see, goes for the flash engage, gets the knock up onto Raze, so they take him out first. And from there, it's a 5v4.
Yeah, it was a headbutt onto the Malzahar and taxi it into Flash Pulverize on another threat. They got double flanked for the first time all game because they were fighting so defensively previously. This is the terrain that Afreeca can clean up around. They clean up, they win. And like you say, do we see a Corki ban? Do we see a Jax ban? Do we try to keep some of these Trinity Force users in check? Because they're the ones that recently have been giving the advantages to the side of Afreeca Freecs.
Lots of questions as we move into the commercial break before game number 2.